Well, hello. Welcome to the Sharma show. Today on the show, we talk about PM Modi being in the Philippines for the ASEAN Summit and what that means, and the Pride Parade that was held in Delhi on Sunday and why it's time for Article 377 to go. We also debuted two new segments of the show, the YouTube video of the day and the tweet of the day. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Sharma show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Now, in our first story of the day, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in the Philippines for the ASEAN Summit. ASEAN, of course, is the Association of South Asian Nations. Did I say Asian? The Association of South Asian Nations. Now, a few important things happened in this summit, and Prime Minister Modi actually met President Trump, who was also in the Philippines for the ASEAN Summit. And during that meeting, a couple of interesting things happened as well that we're going to talk about. But first, Narendra Modi actually also addressed a group of the Indian diaspora in the Philippines where he spoke to them in Hindi, and he talked about demonetization and how demonetization had been a success and the benefits that demonetization is going to bring to the economy in the long run as well. He spoke about how demonetization had helped to formalize a large part of the economy. He also spoke about how the number of people filing tax returns had doubled as a result of demonetization. And he also spoke about the fact that digital transactions within the 1 year of demonetizations have increased by 34%. And he said that India is making the leap from being a cash-based economy to a cashless economy, which is again better for the economy in the long run. During the ASEAN Summit, he also talked about how India is a peacekeeper for the world and how India is one of the biggest contributors to UN peacekeeping efforts. It's also one of the biggest contributors in terms of the number of troops. And I think this is an important step, and I think this is an important point to make as well, because I think with this summit and with what he's looking to do in the future as well, I think what the Prime Minister has been trying to do is to kind of assume more of a leadership role in the Asian and the Asia Pacific region, which I think makes sense because India is not an expansionist country. If you look at India's history, India has never really been an expansionist country, and even after independence, the way India has behaved, they have been a country that is very firmly in favor of countries having their rights. And I think a country like that, assuming a sort of a leadership position and a more prominent position in Asia, isn't necessarily a bad thing. So, of course, underlining the importance of that as well, he also said that there needs to be better physical connectivity between the ASEAN nations, of course, and ASEAN nations and India too. And as part of that, he also announced that he wants to organize the biggest ever ASEAN-India Business and Investment Forum, which is going to be organized in New Delhi in January next year. And he also announced that a summit that will discuss how to improve connectivity, a physical connectivity between the ASEAN nations and India, will be held in New Delhi next month. Now, of course, the other important thing that happened with this ASEAN summit is that Modi met President Trump on the sidelines of the summit, and they spoke about a couple of important things. Something that India and the United States are keen to develop is the Indo-Pacific coalition. And Donald Trump also said both nations can rise beyond bilateral ties and work jointly for the future of Asia, reflecting their growing convergence on strategic issues in the Indo-Pacific region. And again, I think this Indo-Pacific region is the coalition of India, the United States, Japan, and Australia. And again, this coalition is being developed to counter the rise of China in the region and the hegemonic aspirations of China in the Asia-Pacific region as well. President Trump also said, "It's great to have Prime Minister Modi here. We've had him at the White House. He's become a friend of ours and a great gentleman doing a fantastic job in bringing around lots of factions in India, bringing them all together." That's such a Trump thing to say. That's such a Trump way of saying something. He's done a great job. He's done a fantastic job bringing them together, bringing them all together. It's I don't know why he makes me laugh. The other important thing was something that Donald Trump said that I think was very interesting. They said that two of the world's great democracies should also have two of the world's greatest militaries. And I think that's a very important thing. And I think that is in line with the shift in US policy towards India, where they see India as a responsible regional power in the Asia-Pacific region, and they see that a strong India is good for the Asia-Pacific region, a strong India is good to counter China, a strong India is good to fight terrorism in Asia and the Middle East, and therefore a strong India is good for the United States. It's also interesting, I think it looks like a policy shift where I think the US is starting to recognize India as a true ally, the way they see Britain as a true ally and the way they see Israel as a true ally, which again, I think this is a partnership that can work out in benefit for both countries. Now, one of the reasons for that, of course, is the United States and India, they're looking to enhance their strategic defensive cooperation, which means that India is looking to buy more and more equipment from the United States, which is again good for the United States. And the other thing that's recently happened as well is that India is now buying more and more oil from the United States. So number one, that's good for the United States because that's more oil revenue for them. And number two, that's good for India because they're diversifying their sources of where they get their oil from. I think it's a good idea for India not to lay all their eggs in the Middle Eastern basket when it comes to sourcing oil, because it's a very volatile area. You don't know what's going to happen there tomorrow. So I think it's a smart idea for them to be able to diversify their sources of oil as well. So all in all, I think it's a very good development. I think this has been a successful summit for India, and I think India has taken another step towards gaining more regional influence and gaining more regional leadership. And I think it'll also be very interesting to see what steps India takes in the future to develop that kind of regional leadership position, and what steps India and the United States take to develop their strategic partnership as well. Now, in other news, on Sunday, Delhi held its 10th annual Pride Parade. So the Pride Parade is obviously in support of the LGBTQ community in New Delhi and in India in general. And this parade is also in opposition to the Article 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which dates back all the way back to 1861 in British rule, and it makes sexual activities against the order of nature punishable by law and carries a life sentence. And of course, order of nature here means relations between a man and a woman, which is what was considered natural back then. But this is 2017. So what had happened earlier, that in 2009, a Delhi High Court had actually struck down Article 377, calling it unconstitutional. But in 2013, the Supreme Court had actually upheld Article 377, saying that the Parliament needs to pass a law if they want to ban or if they want to remove Article 377. Now, most recently what's happened is that in August of 2017, the Supreme Court upheld that the LGBTQ community has protection to freely express their sexual orientation under the Right to Privacy Act. They said sexual orientation is an essential attribute of privacy. Discrimination against an individual on the basis of sexual orientation is deeply offensive to the dignity and self-worth of the individual. And I think that's a great step, even though I think it needs to be pointed out that they didn't directly overturn Article 377, but I think it's a great step, and I think this is going to be used as a stepping stone on getting rid of Article 377. The Supreme Court also said that the right to privacy and the protection of sexual orientation lie at the core of the fundamental rights guaranteed by Article 14, 15, and 21 of the Constitution. And that makes sense. I mean, this is 2017. Two people, what they want to do in the privacy of their own homes and how they want to express their sexuality and who they want to marry should be no one's business other than their own. And it's high time that a country that has the Khajuraho temples and the country that invented the bloody Kama Sutra gets rid of such archaic laws. I definitely support the parade march, and I definitely support the removal of Article 377. I think it's high time. I think it's way beyond high time to get rid of something like that. All right, now I want to talk about a new segment that I want to do on the show, a segment called the YouTube video of the day and a segment called the tweet of the day. Now, in terms of the YouTube video of the day, I actually found a trailer, an honest trailer done by this YouTube channel called Screen Junkies. And they make honest trailers for movies and TV shows and video games and things of that nature. And they're very, very funny. Now, they recently came out with an honest trailer for the Netflix show Stranger Things. Now, Stranger Things is a show that I watched last year when it first came out, and then I watched season 2 recently as well. The premise of the show basically is it's based in the Midwestern American state of Indiana, in Hawkins, Indiana, and it follows a group of 4 boys, one of whom mysteriously disappears, and then the boys and the boy's mom is then looking for him. And there's also this shady lab on the outskirts of the town where some shady business is happening. And the lab is somehow connected to the disappearance of the boy and what happened to the boy as well. It's a great show. It's a great kind of 80s throwback sci-fi show. It's got, like I said, it's chock full of 80s nostalgia. It's a very fun show, and it moves at a very good pace as well. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend you go check out the show, and you go check out the Honest trailer as well. The Honest trailer is funny. They always do a good job with the Honest trailer, Screen Junkies, every time they come out with one. And the link to the Honest trailer is provided below in the description. So go check it out. And in my tweet of the day, I've got something fantastic as well. So this is a football related tweet. So a professional football team in England called Ebbsfleet United signed a player called Mambo. And there he is. And a good man on Twitter pointed out that imagine signing a player called Mambo and not giving him the number 5 shirt. Poor form from Ebbsfleet United. I think it's a huge missed opportunity. You buy a player called Mambo and you don't give him the number 5 shirt. What are you doing? And if you don't get that reference, I mean, come on. That was a huge song. That's all I'm going to say about it. I found that tweet very funny. So that was my tweet of the day. And that's the show. Thank you very much for watching the show. Thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate you. Now, here's my question of the day today for you as well. Do you want to see India assuming a more leadership role in the Asia-Pacific region and in the world in general? Do you think this is something that India will be able to accomplish or not? Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments below, and let's have a conversation about it. We're going to be back again on Friday with the latest news of the day. And I'm also working on a more long-form podcast as well, which will hopefully be uploaded onto iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and all of that sort by next week or the week after latest, I'm hoping. And again, if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to like the show, make sure to share the show, tell your friends about it, man, and make sure that you're subscribed to the show's channel. And also, make sure the little notification thing is on. So as soon as the video drops, you're the first to hear about it. Again, thanks for watching. We'll be back on Friday. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.